Joining me now is Josh Andrus from Project Confederation. He's got an excellent article in the Western Standard that we're going to talk about, but we're also going to talk about some predictions for the last anxiety-inducing week of the election campaign here in Alberta, and possibly how Alberta's stance on bail reform has influenced the feds for the good. For once, they actually responded the right way to something. So I think we should talk about that, because that's definitely a win for Albertans, but also a win for public safety of Canadians. Josh, thanks for coming on the show. Let's talk about your article in the Western Standard. It's titled, "What Ottawa Wants is Not Less Emissions, but Less Oil." And I actually don't even think they want less oil. I think they just want less Alberta oil, because they're perfectly happy to import it from some of the more odious regimes of the world. Tell us about your article.
Yeah, so I was watching the debate, and it was kind of nice to see that affordability is a key issue, because it is something that comes up a lot across the board. But it's regarding the emissions caps and the moving goalposts that the federal Liberals have brought in on the energy sector to effectively handcuff the ability of our energy producers to innovate internally. And one of the things with the emissions cap is that Stephen Guilbeault, our eco-radical environment minister, announced at COP27 that the Canadian government would be capping oil and gas emissions by the end of this year. Now, because of the energy industry doesn't have the technology to bring emissions down to the levels that are expected without cutting production, an emissions cap at these levels is a de facto production cut. We've also mentioned that the environmental goalposts have been shifting on this issue for 8 years. I mean, I remember 8 years ago being upset about a carbon tax, and now it's just kind of one of those things where, well, that's really nothing if you get down to the nitty gritty. I mean, we're at a point where the federal government has usurped provincial jurisdiction with the Impact Assessment Act. 8 provinces, as well as the Alberta government, or 7 provinces, as well as the Alberta government, came out with a legal challenge against the Impact Assessment Act, which is Bill C-69, otherwise termed by you guys and others as the No More Pipelines Law. But it goes further. The federal government has environmental jurisdiction to veto any project, whether it be a gravel pit in Stettler, or a major oil sands mine in Fort McMurray, or even a highway across the north from Grand Prairie to Fort McMurray, something that has been asked for a long time. The federal government can veto all of those, which very much goes against the constitutional jurisdiction of the provinces in terms of, well, a lot of areas. But at the end of the day, a cap on production isn't the end of the road either. The goalposts are shifting fast as well. I mean, we have the federal government early this year announced a sustainable jobs plan, otherwise known as the Just Transition, which is effectively going to legislate the oil and gas, the fossil fuel industry, out of existence altogether. And given the affordability crisis that we face, this is, in my view, an entirely inadvisable position to have, because energy is the industry that powers every other industry. If you don't have affordable energy, you don't have innovation. And this isn't just innovation within the oil and gas industry to help bring down emissions, which they are desperately working towards. This impacts every other industry. I mean, take tech, for example, in the computer age that we're in now. Think about those old supercomputers that they had in the late 70s, mid 70s. I mean, the amount of electricity used to power those would have been monumental. And if electricity prices have been twice as much, we may not have had the innovation within that industry that we otherwise have had, where we might not be sitting on this call right now with a computer in front of us because the technology just didn't develop it, because we didn't have the affordable energy to do so. And it affects, people's bottom lines as well. It stretches your wallet. If your heating bill or your electricity bill is climbing, it makes it harder for you to pay for food or school sports or a night out to dinner, right? And in some cases, with people below the poverty line, it leads to homelessness, divorce, and crime. So these are things that we need to be concerned about, and it's deeply concerning that the Alberta NDP seems to be really moving in lockstep in a lot of ways with the federal government on this. The Just Transition was a part of their environmental plan that a group of blue ribbon academics and policy experts put together in 2015, and they had their own Just Transition in places like Hanna with the coal phase out. So it's really concerning that this is the case, and it's something that we always have to keep an eye on.
Oh, hey, what you just saw there is a clip from my weekly full-length show, The Gun Show. It airs on Wednesday, but this is the internet. You can watch it whenever you feel like. You just have to become a subscriber to our paywalled premium content. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com to become a member today.